Dudes, what is going on? Tasty Mond. We're just about to do the last level. It's been a long, grueling ride. It's lasted longer than I thought it would. Mostly because I've been putting so much effort into the playthrough for people to watch on YouTube and that, and make it actually watchable, you know what I mean? So it's took up a lot of time. I think we would have finished this game probably about last week, maybe if I had no been too... I mean, it's amazing how many levels I flew by within, like, even a week. You know what I mean? But the later levels and doing, like, the videos and all that is just, like, takes a lot out of you, I think, and the game's lasted a wee bit longer than it probably should have. You know what I mean? So I'm more excited to do my second playthrough and all that, and not really have to... I'll only be doing a full LP for the second playthrough, but I will be uploading videos about Engage going forward. Like, I will be doing a wee bit of a tier list in that, for, like, my own personal tier list based on the characters and how this run went. But as is tradition with, like, the playthroughs that we do on this channel, that I have done for FE in the past, I always, like, before the last map, I always talk about how our units were and how they performed and what they contributed to the overall experience. Did they make it easier? Did they make it harder? Was it somewhere in between? But because this is, like, a first Maddening run, it's really hard to, like, really give a truthful opinion on how anyone can be, because I think with enough work in that, anyone can be good and things can be vastly different, you know what I mean? But let's start with our main character, I guess, because this is the first one on the list. As far as a main character goes, in, like, the actual canon class that they're supposed to be in, it's one of my least favourites, I think, so far. Yeah, I just no enjoyed it as much. I will be trying different rings on her in the future. But overall, I don't really like using the main character as a utility unit. You know what I mean? Maybe I need to, like, look at that a wee bit differently, but we tried a couple of things with her over the run, and I'm not saying she's no strong in that, but I would rather probably have her in a different class and make up the utility somewhere else. I do. I just feel like they didn't contribute enough with strength and raw power, you know? A lot of people have been really enjoying using fog clouds with her and setting fire to the ground and all that, and whereas I much preferred using the ability to literally freeze enemies at 3 range with Korra, and I just found that better for the overall thing that we had going on. Just did not find that we had enough power even to take down enemies. If we set the fire on the ground, we didn't have enough power next turn to deal with them. That's just how it worked. And every time I set down a fucking fog tile in this game, I got hit. Every single fucking time. And if we were actually getting, like, 0% avoids, that hurt us more than anything, because, like, they'll just ignore our guys. Now, like, I think it's good to, like, be pulling enemies with 0 avoid people. That's actually a really safe way of going around baiting enemies in, getting them to move when they only move, because there's a lot of, like, I don't know, like, the AI in this game, like, there's, like, group AI, so, like, you could use 0% avoid tanks and that just to, like, pull enemies in that are deadly. But, like, it's no, like, 0% avoid tanking and that isn't worthless in this game. It's actually really fucking good, depending on how you like playing. If you actually like taking the piss out of the game and roaming around with, like, 0% avoiders, then that is a specific way of playing. But by just saying somebody's good with that, I don't think is how to, like, judge a character or anything like that, at least for myself personally. So, like, I don't think the fact that she can, like, be hit and roam around is, like, that amazing, because it's a pretty boring playstyle, I think, like, for myself personally. So, like, I just didn't really count it like that. I mean, the fact that you can do it, it's in every Fire Emblem. They tried to combat it in this game, so let's no like piss about. They did try to combat it by making them ignore, but you can never balance it correctly. It happened in Fates with games like Xander getting ignored at 0 when they had, like, max defense and the enemies just look fucking stupid because they don't do anything to them. Same is going to happen in this game because that's how it goes, you know. But overall, I didn't enjoy the main character in this game, and yeah, they did contribute loads with Dance of the Goddess, which is mostly what we had. But it's just a bit boring. It's like all we were doing is using her for Dance of the Goddess, and I can't help but feel a bit bored of that. So in my next run, I don't know what we'll do with her, but it will only be using her as a Dance of the Goddess, I don't think. I don't think so anyway. I would rather use them as a main combat unit and see how that goes over utility. 10 out of 10 utility, I guess we'll put it down to, but ultimately it's a wee bit boring if all she was doing was dancing and laying fog on the ground. You know, it's like, I understand it, but meh. And if the only other way to play her in our main class was to 0% avoid, then yeah, I definitely didn't really enjoy the main character in this game. No. Louis is one of the best members on the team. I mean, like, I genuinely don't know what we would have done without him in a lot of the sections of the game. It's one of my favourite armour knights ever in the games, and I think by putting Sigurd on him for most of the game, which is what we done, it just fixed so many problems with armour knights. You know what I mean? And it made them actually fun to play. The fact that they can't be broken is also just incredibly useful, especially in the early stages. And I actually think maybe going with like axes rather than lances might have been better. I don't know. The hit rate would have been worse, so it's hard to say. But we would have been able to do even more damage with them if we had a silver great axe rather than a silver great lance. You know. At these stages of the games, he's a wee bit. It's scary putting him in amongst a mage. If I ever see a mage, he's 100% dead. Do you know what I mean? There's no ifs or buts there. Even putting my talismans on him wouldn't save his ass with the amount of damage some of these enemies are doing. But in the next run, I will not be using Sigurd on Louis. I'll probably use Louis as someone else. I don't know yet. But like, I think in Wyvern Louis would probably be sick because he hits like a truck. But I think like there's other ways to utilize override in this game, I think, that are pretty cool. There's stuff like magic override as well, or like effective weaponry overriding, stuff like that. You got like a group of armor knights that you could just override 4 of them in a row and fucking wipe them out. Like stuff like that is cool, and as like that would deal with like problematic enemies in the game. It's situational, don't get me wrong, but I would like to find some other uses for like override in the next playthrough that we do. Dancer's a dancer. Dancer's always awesome. I couldn't imagine. It's not like Three Houses where we can really like. Maybe we can get to a stage where we will only be able to use a dancer. I mean, like half the game's not got a dancer. Like it is true, but I feel like you do get them actually quite late when I think about it. But probably because if you got them any earlier, the game would be far too easy in the earlier sections. You know. I think putting Sigurd on him was absolutely fantastic. In some parts, we just had like a 10-move dancer or whatever it is, just like roaming. That's how I completed some levels earlier when you didn't know like some of the more details about the game. Like, you know how we fought those dragons on, what was it? We fought the dragons on the Byleth power log, and I was like, shit, how am I going to kill these 2 dragons within one turn? I was like, I'll need to dance Panette and get her over there to one-shot, you know? So I had to use her to kill 2 of them. And I didn't know it was like, we had effective weaponry with like someone like the Mulligar. So we could have probably one-shot one of them. Saved us a wee bit of a headache there with that. But I thought it was still cool having like a 10-move dancer with Sigurd. I think that's pretty good. It's one of the more better rings on a dancer, I think. You don't need to give him canter as well at a certain point because like he already has it for Sigurd. And I don't know. Like one of my more favourite dancers of the series because it's a overall pretty hard game here and there, and having a good dancer in a hard game is always makes you appreciate them more. But there's no like you could probably turn it. People have talked about turning them into a combat unit and that. I wouldn't recommend it. Not in a game like this, where it's actually like really kind of like needed to have a dancer. It's not like Three Houses where you could piss about with the Sword of Void and that. You know, like maybe you get to a stage where you become so good at the game you then need a dancer, and then you can start experimenting. But nah, dancer sticks out in this game as being one that's there to, you know, they want you using it, and it's there to be used. It's not really like Three Houses where you got some cool shit with it. He's dancing and that's it, you know. Kagetsu, probably, I don't know if he contributed more than Louis. It's between the two. There's like 4 members that stick out of the team. It's Louis, Pandreo, Panette, and Kagetsu. So like Kagetsu is one of the best members on a team. I'm so glad we used him because he was such a strong Swordmaster, and Swordmaster looked cool in this game. But to actually turn him into a Wyvern was one of the more fun things about the game, because I think having a fun flyer is always just a good experience. It's fun having a really fun flyer. Do I think flying is the best thing ever in this game? I don't know. I mean, probably not, but it's still really good, man. You know, like people say Griffin's better than Wyvern. I don't know. I really don't know. We never used a Griffin. I fail to see how it would be so much better, though. I think there's a wee bit of Chloe bias going on there with the early game, and as somebody who didn't use Chloe a whole lot, I do see it. Like, what's so special about Griffin other than, yeah, you can level them up with healing. That's definitely true. At the end of the day, she's kind of stuck to lances as well, but I guess you could make them have axes, and I think that would maybe be the way to go, but I don't know. I find Wyvern as good as it's ever been in this game. Maybe Griffin is better for being able to always get XP on every turn due to staffs, you know what I mean, and healing. Maybe. Overall, though, I feel like Kagetsu was a really strong character in this game, and probably the overall best character in the game so far for just absolute crazy levels, especially on fixed growth. So he's supposed to be like this, you know, that's one of the cool things about the fixed growth. He's supposed to be like this. We didn't get a lucky Kagetsu. You know what I'm trying to say there? He's supposed to be like this. He's supposed to be pretty crazy. He's not got as much strength as Panette in that though, but that's fair. So I think Lin on him was fantastic, but I think at the end of the day we probably could have utilised Lin a wee bit better because we kind of put a bit of bias towards Kagetsu. He's really fast, but you get to a point where he can't like one round an enemy because he's maybe just no quite as strong as he was, and the enemies be getting more bulks. They'd be getting more bulk and it makes it a wee bit worse, you know, it's harder to take them down, but I still think he's like one of the top tier members of the team, and on a second playthrough I'll probably still use him as someone else. It would be cool to try and see, like what else could we make him? Would he just be good in any class? Probably. You know, like I could already see him being just as dumb in Warrior as he was in Wyvern. The thing is, I think you need a couple of dumb things in this game. I do. Pandreo is too good. Like, I think he's just one of the best characters in the game as well. I don't know what else to say about him other than that. It's like, man, I used him so much. He's capped his build, he's capped his HP, he's capped his dex. Like, look how much I used the guy. Like, I used him a lot, you know. I've got Celica on him right now, which is probably overkill as well, because the man does not need a ring to contribute hugely to your team. He's just, like, that good. I'm so glad that on chapter, I think it was about chapter 17, I decided that I was going to like use Panette and Pandreo, and I'm really glad I did, because they became like some of my favourite characters in the game because they put in so much work in the playthrough. He's got such a cool personal ability, and everything about him is actually quite cool. I never really thought I would like a couple of these characters based on the stuff I'd seen before the game came out, but these characters are just straight up like good, you know, and I wonder what else. I think using him as a staff bot is maybe a bit of a waste of his talents, personally, because like I've seen people using him as a staffy and it feels like a bit of a waste when he is such a good combat dealer, combat magic user, and like anybody can use staffs being reclassed, anyone, but not everyone's as fast as him, you know what I mean, by like default. So there's a couple of standout characters in the game. Kagetsu's one, Pandreo's another, I think, at least for what we were doing, you know. Overall, one of the best members on the team. Glad we used him. Absolutely amazing. Don't know how he could be any better, really. No, I don't really think so. By making him a Cavalier as well, we didn't rely on his personal too much because we used Bonded Shield, so that was also sick. Yeah, Panette. I think she is amazing as well, but like there's a lot of bias as well, because who knows how other people's playthroughs went. I took the opportunity right away to turn her into a warrior. It just made too much sense to not do it. The Merciless ability is just amazing. It's amazing. Fracture strats with this are fantastic. She can literally one-shot any enemy in the game with a silver great axe, you know what I mean? There's also other combos people talk about with Advantage Wrath and Ike stuff. Obviously, we never done that. We might get Advantage Wrather on the next playthrough. Might have to, just to make it a wee bit more manageable with the amount of chunky enemies in the late game. And to be fair, I maybe don't mind it at this point, you know? I just think she was an absolute crucial member of the team, and I dove put Erica on her, and I kind of never took it off her, to be honest, because she one-shots any problematic enemy that I need gone, you know, and I've kind of just been stuck with what works now. But I do think we could have probably utilised Erica a wee bit different, because I think even Panette without a ring is probably really, really good. You know, it's like one of the other characters without a ring that's really, really good. Maybe just even more strength as a normal ring. You know, that would have been decent. Longbow's amazing in this game, especially on, like, warriors. Longbow in general. Panette, one of the best members on the team and in the game, I would maybe say, out of everyone. You know, like, people stick out. Kagetsu, Pandreo, Panette stick out, you know. Louis sticks out. So it kind of feels like some people like that. Hortensia, I think she is absolutely, well, as far as I'm concerned, she's probably the best staff user in the game. I don't know how you could not use her as a staff unit. Our personal ability, like, that's just insane, isn't it? Grants range +1. So, like, all that stuff adds up as well to the warping, to the rewarping, to the rescuing. World Tree is hella awesome for, like, experimentation by, you know, like, this is the degen strats though, but, like, you can rig World Trees for warp strats and shit. So, like, she has it there. Like, all this stuff's been put in for you to try that shit out. You know what I mean? We never rigged any World Trees in the game or anything, but just saying you can. So you could maybe try warping on other stages that wouldn't be worth the warps and rewarps. And still save them for the later levels, you know. But overall, I think she is actually... She's got to be the best staff user in the game purely because of the big personality. And, like, having World Tree in that is just nice. World Tree is just nice. But big personality is pretty huge. So I don't really know how anyone could compare as a staff user, really. We could use her as a combat unit one day, but we'd be losing such a huge thing. I think one of the best things about Fates in that, and like games like Birthright a wee bit, was that like Sakura could like heal at 2 range because of the the Sun Festival or whatever, you know, the staffs that could heal at 2 range. That shit is awesome and adds to gameplay. Little things like being able to heal at 2 range add to gameplay. That's why you don't need physics as much in this game. Physics cost shitloads. They're not really worth the money. It's one of those kind of things where you need to... I've no bought a physic in this game. We use what we have, and I kind of go into the maps without them. Why? There's also because we can heal at 2 range with a mend or a heal, because we don't need physic as much. Vulneraries are pretty good in this game too. It's like... Yeah. I would say physics not even that big a deal in this game in terms of healing, you know, like, especially when you have her being able to heal at 2 range. And like I say, it adds to the gameplay. Merrin. I'm conflicted on Merrin because, like, I think she is great. But one of the only reasons she was really great for me was because we gave her Lucina. Because we're stacking poison on chain assists. So, like, that's amazing. At the end of the day, though, she's a level 19 wolf, and she's only got 20 strength. So that becomes a problem, I think, unless you are favouring them with stat boosters or something. I don't know, it's like, that's what I mean. That's how it's so hard to judge some stuff. I would say she's one of the best members on the team purely for poison stacking anyway. You know what I mean? But someone might have used Zelkov and done the exact same thing. It's like, that's what I mean. But it feels like Lucina is just really good on a dagger user in general. But then there's other combos that you could definitely do with her to fix her strength. You know what I mean? Like, give her Roy. So, like, she's already fast. So if you give her someone like Roy, she'd be at 26 strength right now. And then a potion, she'll be at 28. So it would definitely, like, fix it. You know what? This is, like, the vast differences that can happen in a playthrough. And because Zelkov might not be contributing as much, he would have just been better having Lucina anyway, put him on a pooch. This is what I'm talking about when it comes to, like, being hard to judge characters. Because of the vast amount of differences we could do with the rings, and we can fix the strength. It's no problem, you can. I'm just saying that right now, on our team composition, because I'm leaving her with a dual assist, her strength has suffered here. So we don't really use her as a damage dealer. She's a poison stacker. And I think that's a great way of using them. But we could use somebody worse for poison stacking. Even Yunaka. I'm not saying Yunaka's bad, just saying that if we're going to go down a route of, like, poison stacking, maybe we'd be better using someone who's a wee bit worse at the combat department, because Merrin could be better at the combat department too. It's hard to say. So many possibilities. Hence why I was a wee bit upset they've already released another 3 bloody rings, and like we've just like just done one playthrough, and we, you know, like the amount of shit that's in the game is crazy. So overall, she is one of the best members on the team. Poison stacking, needed it. Hell, I needed it. Oh shit. Fram's just swimming in the background. Cool. Ivy's a weird one, man. I don't know. I think she's great, but she has some problems like her low luck, so you gotta give her a dodge weapon. No ifs or buts. If you're okay eating crits to the face, I guess that's fine, but I've been crit too many times with her. She's been 69 too many times by the enemy that I can't even count now. When I was just experimenting with maps and shit, you know, like, pretty crazy. I put Corrin on her. I know people were using mostly Corrin for the main character as utility stuff, but I use Corrin on her because I think the ability to 3-range Draconic Hex, 3-range literally freeze loads of enemies. If you watched our playthroughs, like that's how we dealt with a lot of enemies, freezing like 4 of them for a turn so I can deal with the other 3 coming up our ass, you know, and that's how we done it. So we like Draconic Hex that guy that turn and froze that guy that turn, and that was much better to me than like her being able to no-kill an Armor Knight. I'm no kidding, because like at some points she actually feels like she can't even kill an Armor Knight without help. At the end of the day, right, Lyn is a huge emblem in this game that fixes anybody. So I think having to rely on someone like Lyn to fix you is maybe a bit where the problem lies with stuff like Ivy. Obviously, I don't know the ins and outs, but all I'm saying is, compared to someone like Pandreo, who was actually like a murderer, she's just no murderer. You know what I mean? She's got, I guess, pretty low speed, but we could fix it. But I just feel like people like Lyn are better served on other characters than Ivy. Like I say, I mostly used her as like a staff bot more than anything, and the utility of Corrin. I really don't know how we could have made her like be amazingly better. I really don't know. Like without Lyn, I don't know. Maybe I could give her all my magic stat boosters in the next playthrough, but even that seems like one hell of an investment just to get somebody doing what they're supposed to do. Seems like she relies on Lyn to me to be like, to go from being a pretty good flying magic user to being like a really good flying magic user. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that either. That's just how it goes. I mean, you'd be scared to change a character like this into another class. The Royals in this game have special classes to the point where it's kind of like, she's the only flying magic user other than Hortensia, and Hortensia's just too good at healing to the point where it feels like, will Ivy always be left in this class? I don't know. Probably not. She'd probably be quite cool to try and Mage Knight. That way she would maybe get a wee bit faster, I don't know. But overall, I can't say Ivy was bad or anything. She was a major contributor to the team, mostly using Corrin and freezing enemies, and without her, we wouldn't have been able to kill people in past levels. So like, she was huge on our team. Let me know what you've done with her, because I know some people were like using Lyn on her and doubling with Novas and stuff, and that sounds amazing. But like at the end of the day, I was like, I couldn't like take my Lyn off someone on our. That's what I mean with Vast. Just shows you how important some of the team compositions can be, because I needed Lyn on other people. You know, it's yeah. But overall, I still think Ivy was amazing, and I'll use her next run. Defo. This is one I just don't know what to say about. Diamond, I don't think he's good. You know, in his Lord class, I don't think he's good. I'm sorry to say it. He's one of my more it's amazing how you like get a wee bit attached to characters like Diamond who are, you like them. You know what I mean? Look at his outfit and shit. He looks cool. But in this class, he didn't seem good. And we just turn around and we say Lyn, yeah, but Lyn fixes everyone. But at the end of the day, there's better people for Lyn to be on than Diamond in his Lord class. That's the problem. Everybody talks about the fact that he's got a low dex growth or something. Yeah, but like, I mean, I don't know. The thing is, the reason why his Lord class sucks is because Soul would be too overpowered. Fates and all that were dominated by healing bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, everybody running Sol. It's so fucking boring. Because all they were doing is healing themselves over and over and juggernauting with characters like that. It's boring. It's unreliable too. And I think the reason they kind of made, like, Sol no as powerful in this game is because they're trying to anti-juggernaut the game a wee bit. And that's why Sol's just no as strong and why he has bad decks. Because they didn't want the game to be fucking ruled by it, I don't think. Problem is, there's always another grey area. Well, if you didn't want the game to be ruled by Sol, why are you letting people Vantage and Wrath? You know what I mean? It's weird. I don't know either. You'd like to ask them these questions, wouldn't you? I don't know. I don't know what we could have done to make him better other than give him Lyn. And it's like, I would like to use him in another playthrough. I would, but I will only be using his Lord class again, I don't think. I just don't think so. Even with Ike and that, he didn't do much for us. You know, it's I don't know. I don't really know what to say about it. I'd like to hear other people's opinions on Diamond and his Lord class, because it's like one of the most unimpressive things. If the only thing I could do is give him Lyn to make him better, it's even with like Ike, he's not doing anything. It depends on the combos, and because he's such an early character, you don't get any SP. It's hard going. Like, I spent like, what, 1,000 on Dual Assist and 1,000 on Canter, so we spent 2,000 SP there. We can think of better stuff to do though. Let's just say we did give him Ike again, and we could use something like Draconic Hex, which actually would spread Draconic Hex to multiple enemies. So like, things like that are huge, but then that's the only ability you're buying. You know, we could buy that, and we could buy like Speed +3 or something. Specific builds, you know what I mean? So like, I'm just saying, with this looks like the most basic diamond ever, and the most basic diamond ever just isn't that good. I don't even know. I gave him like 2 forges at one point and that, he still couldn't do much with it. You know, maybe we should have gave him the Killer Axe at this point, but with his low decks, it'll be that the best hit rate ever. Yeah, perhaps we should have, I tried to do some Vantage critting with him, but actually, believe it or not, then he actually started soling. So like, dude, you know, I don't know though, I just pretty upset about Diamond. I thought like things would be better, but they've just been about as average as it could get. Now, I will say this right now though, I kind of like gave up though. I kind of gave up with him. You know what I mean? I kind of gave up. I was just sick of trying to think about what we could do. I mean, at one point I had like 3 forges or something on him. I was like, okay, let's do something. Still not doing anything. So it's like, I stopped doing stuff, you know, and I don't want to like invest badass forges in someone who's performing averagely. You know what I mean? I just don't. I don't. It's like, yeah, like I say, Lyn's better on someone else. Yeah. Than Lord class Diamond, it feels like. I don't know how you feel about it, let me know. But there's better people to put your Lyn on. So if you know got Lyn on him, he's just standing around looking cool, and boy does he look cool, I will say that. I'll be using him again though, I think. I like him. Goldie is interesting. I think we used her too late though, but I think Roy's better than what people think. You know, the ability to... I think I've maybe got it on the wrong character here, though. I don't even think we were trying to make a tank out of her, but she ended up just being tanky anyway. I would maybe say... Like, look at the +6 strength in that. This can be utilised on a DPS or better. You know what I mean? And have a DPS or be able to enemy phase without fear of dying. So, like, I just think Roy's better in that regard, and it shouldn't be on her, but it helps us. It does help us. She choked many points on levels that I needed choked. I didn't need to worry about her. I can safely damage someone with like Silver Great Lances and that without getting killed in retaliation. It's not the most interesting shit ever, but I needed something, you know, and I think it's on the Leaf Power log where we brung her in. I needed something, so I was like, let's try this out. I don't even think Paladin's that good. I think Great Knight's better anyway. Yeah, I'd probably say so. Like, overall, though, it's not like she's done nothing. I've actually got momentum on her, just for some extra damage on the Silver Great Lance. Sounded like a good shout to me. But, like, when I'm on a map, I didn't look at Goldie to fix a problem. You know what I mean? So I guess she's not a standout. She did help us big time on chapter 24 though by choking a point, and boy did that help us. So stuff like that I remember. So it's like, yeah. I still quite like Goldie though, but I think she would have just been better in Hero with like Brave Assist. But Brave Assist also relies on you being at really high, like full HP. I'm glad we didn't like build our team around relying on chain attacks. But the only chain attack we really, I would say we wanted out of all of them was our poison stacking, you know? So I like Goldie, and I think there's better stuff we could do with her. I don't think I'll use Paladin again. I'll probably use her as a Great Knight or something. And like I say, not necessarily a standout member on the team, but the team went through many changes over the course of the game because it was like, oh god, what are we going to do here? Should we do this? Should we do that? Let's just do it. And Vale's interesting. I don't really know what to say about her. I got her Draconic Hex because, like, some of these characters come too late to the point where it's like, man, you're throwing a spanner in the works here and I don't know what to do with this now because we've been using this team for so long, but now you're giving us this character and I don't know what to do with her other than utilize her adjacent damage. And maybe give her like Draconic Hex because she gave so much SP, but that way she can't get counter, so she's not got as much utility in that regard. I think she has the special powers that Alir gives, actually. I couldn't say though, I've not tried it. But I've heard people say that she maybe has the special traits with like Dance of the Goddess and Corrin, like what the main character does because they are dragons. I think so, maybe. I think she's good though. I think she could be good, but I think she comes too late for you to really give a shit, if I was being brutally honest about it. It's just like, you want a character like this a wee bit earlier so you can use them more, and that's the problem with these ones. I honestly think Wolf Knight's probably pretty good. I mean, look at that. She got 23 strength in Wolf Knight, 28 speed. She got more strength than my fucking Merrin, who we've used for the whole game. I don't think this is a wash, but I would want to use it as like dagger, magic dagger or something. Yeah, I think so. But even then, she's got more strength than my Merrin. So she would actually be stronger than a Merrin who's been used for the whole game since like chapter 13. So like, is that not crazy? It's pretty crazy. User in Wolf Knight, I think that's a good way to go about it, I would think. But Draconic Hex is better on a 3-ranger because it's completely safe, which is why we're leaving her in the Fell Child thing now. But this doesn't look shit to me, like at all. Look at it. Yeah. 23 strength is even good for like so she's got like a mixture with like strength and magic. Obviously we don't want a mixture of both, but it's the fact that it's there and her strength actually is that good is kind of nuts to me. But I would probably use it as magic daggers. Overall, she's helping us out with the Draconic Hex where and when she can. Now this one's weird. What do you want me to say? I mean, I don't know why I was so adamant about using Eddie. I don't know. I don't know why. There was a bit of the getting a bit sick of like the deployment slots we were getting on the levels during the chapter 12 and 13 stages of the game, where we're just getting like no fucking deployment slots and they're forcing you to use the new recruits that are coming in, and it's really hard to use the people that you had been using before. You really got to be like, okay, that's the one I want to use and fuck the other dudes. So I was like, I'm not using Figaro. I'm done with it now. I will just keep using Eddie. You know what I mean? We'll take someone for the beginning. And Eddie was the one we went for. And we changed her into Bow Knight. Unfortunately, Bow Knight just didn't seem all that good to me in this game. Unfortunately, Eddie didn't seem all that good though. She doesn't seem amazing. Not to say you couldn't do something with her. She's got 27 strength here. I changed her into Warrior too late. The only reason I didn't want to change her into Warrior earlier is because I don't like having a team of the same dudes doing the same shit. So, like, that's what I mean. I want, like, 3 heroes or 3 fucking warriors and 2 wyverns, and you get what I mean? It's like, I know in this game, I'm okay having, like, 2 wyverns and 3 houses. Kind of felt okay. It feels like in this game there's too many flyers kicking about with Hortensia and, like, Ivy in order to have, like, 2 wyverns on the side. It's like, holy shit, Bird Nation, you know? And there's a lot of dangerous bow users to put you off that, but I don't think Bow Knight is good in this game. At least so far, I've no thought it's that good. You'd need somebody better in Bonite. Someone fast, at least. Because Eddie's just no fast enough to be doubling in Bonite. So, really, she can only hit once in anything that she's in. Unfortunately, because of her shit build early on as well. Like, that's why she's got Leaf on her now. But it still doesn't do anything. You know, like, no, at this point. She got 11 defense. 11 defense. This late into the game? Like, what's going on there? You know, it's... I don't know. But I think she probably is best in Warrior. Yeah. But, like, the fact that she's got such low defense means that she's going to struggle to take a hit on characters. But I think you could probably do the Vantage crit thing with her. But, I should have put her in... I should have bet the bullet earlier and put her in Warrior and just be like, okay, we're using 2 Warriors, fuck it. Because I would have had, like, Merciless by now. Because I've not got Merciless, so she's not done anything the whole game. These are gaps in the team that have been here for a long time, and made the struggle a wee bit worse than it needed to be. Eddie's definitely one of those characters that have made it a bit worse than it needed to be. Because we could have had somebody straight up better doing what she's been doing, unfortunately. I don't know if it's an Eddie thing, or it's a like one of the original crack characters thing. All I've ever been able to get her in the game is hit plus 10 and speed plus 3 is no doing jack shit here. So it's like, you'd never even got enough SP to get Canto on her or anything. And this is a character you use from the beginning of the game. They really don't like the beginning of the game characters, apart from Louis. And maybe Chloe, I guess, if you invest in her a lot. But Eddie was tough to keep going. She really was. I'm upset about it. Because, like... I think it's Pyra's voice actor from Xenoblade, so that's kind of one of the reasons I wanted to keep her going, and, you know... yeah, but I don't know. If I ever use her in the future again, I'll be making her a warrior much earlier, doing the Merciless thing. But I'm not that impressed, like, with the overall bulk she has, either. It's because, like, Panette can take, like, a hit to the face and live to tell the tale, whereas Eddie's just, you know, nah. This motherfucker just, like, absolutely pissed me off on chapter 19 to the point where I didn't even like you, sir. Nah, I didn't mind that, he's okay. But, like, him being a bad guy for, like, half the game kind of, like, changes your opinion of them, and then, oh, we can use them, and... Yeah, like, people have been swearing by the Flame Lance and all that stuff with them, but I've not really invested in them enough to care about it. You know, I kind of been using them as a bit of a staff bot. I should get him Canto right now, though, for the last level, so I think I'll do that. Overall, as a staff bot and all that stuff, he's been pretty good. I think I've got Byleth on him now, because I was maybe planning on using him as our Dance of the Goddess on the last level. Maybe we'll see how that goes down. We did use some other characters. We used Zelkov at, like, a... This is just the endgame team, I guess, we're talking about. You know, it's... But we used Zelkov for quite a lot of the game, too, and he was incredibly good at what he done as well, but ultimately just, like, fell off, stopped doing what we needed him to do. And I think it would benefit if he changed classes as well, or if we just used Lucina on him. I do. I think he's still more than viable if we took some of our emblems and put it on him, instead of someone like Merrin, even. You know, like, I could easily use him over Merrin. No problem. And that's if we wanted to keep him as a dagger user. He looks like he'd be a good wyvern as well. Because he's strong. He's actually strong. I like Zelkov a lot. He's a wee bit credible, unfortunately. So we'd have to give him a dodge. Look at that, 26 strength. 26 strength in Warrior right now. That's nothing to be upset about, you know, it's really not. And even in Bonite, he'd be reasonable, but Bonite's just a wee bit average, it feels, you know. Like, why would I want to go Bonite with 21 strength when I can get like a 26 strength warrior? It just makes no sense to me. Like, what the fuck is going on? Still gets S ranked out. He'd be a good wolf. But I was thinking we'd try him in Wyvern, and he was a 23 strength Wyvern at one point, which would have really helped us, but I didn't want to have 2 Wyverns, so that's why we eventually dropped him. It's the same with Yunaka, if you can keep her going, you know. We used Linden for a bit, he's still pretty good with the staffs. Probably should have used Saphir as well, but we kind of just wanted to stick with what we had. But that's really it. We used Alchrist early on for a while, it sucks, but I chose Eddie over him and dropped Figaro. So I would like to use him in an hour run. Tamara, I'm interested to see what she's up to in an hour run. We never used her once. Celine, we used her early on, and I think she is really good in this game as well. Like, she's really fast, people tell me. I really like her personal ability. That shit saved our ass on chapter 11 because we didn't have a staffy, because they took Micaiah away. Plus 50% HP on vulneraries is so nice. You know, I like it a lot. So, like, when we did use her at the start, it was pretty cool. I'd like to use her in a second playthrough, third playthrough, I think. I would like to use her. Give her the 11 sword or something. Because I feel like Pandreo didn't even need the 11 sword. We've not been using it well. It was an idea I had at the start, but he's just too good with the bolognese to the point where the 11 sword did get used. Amber's someone I do want to use in my next run. 100% I'm using Amber. I like this guy. He's really fucking strong. He just gets done dirty by... you know, he just gets done dirty by the deployment slots again, and absolutely, I want to use him in the next run. Like, he's so strong, you know what I mean? He's pretty strong. Like, I don't even think he had like a level or two. He had like a level or two, and like, look at, I mean, like, that's it. He's still like got like competing strength here, you know. Like, I think he would be good to use in Warrior 2. I'd probably use him. I'll be using him next time. His personal ability is pretty good too. Yeah. Citrine, it would be cool to use her going forward as well. I mean, we did use her for a wee bit, and I liked while I used her. It's just a shame all these characters, you did get to use them at a certain point. I'd like to try Fram a wee bit more. I've heard she's pretty good too. We might use Jade on the next playthrough as our, like, armor knight. I think we might try that. Vander was good while we used him. Alfred wasn't someone that really stuck out to me, unfortunately, because Amber just blew him out the water, but... that's everything there. That's everybody we used on the team. Yeah. I think the team can be obviously much better, but that's usually how first time Maddening runs go in that, dudes. You know, it's... let me know what you thought about, like, our team and how you done your compositions. I'm actually probably going to do a unit, like, tier list or something based on how our run went. And like to get some opinions for other people on like what they think are good builds for characters, so we could try them out in future runs, you know. I think I'll put this up as a separate video because it's far too long to be included in the last chapter. Alright. Cheers for watching. Let me know what you think about some of the characters I've talked about and what you've done with them and what worked for your team, because I feel like this game is pretty sensitive when it comes to, like, you know, the builds that you can make and how other characters get utilized, and it changes something drastically. So something that worked for me wouldn't have worked for yous, or something that worked for yous wouldn't have worked for me, and by doing that it would have changed everything. You know, it's kind of how it feels when it comes to like the rings and stuff, you know. I'll be trying to put out the final chapter tonight.